Hello, everybody.
Hi.
You look so intimidating.
So we have quite the impressive panel today. We have Alicia down at the end. Alicia Tillman is the CMO at SAP. A huge sports fan herself, Alicia is committed to optimizing experiences every day, whether it be for the customer or for the fan. Through SAP's technology, Alicia is able to deliver on the company's brand promise to help the world run better by taking these experiences to new heights and making fans a part of the game. Next, we have Heidi Browning, the NHL's Chief Marketing Officer. She's focused on fan engagement strategies across social, mobile, and digital platforms. She believes the key to unlocking fan engagement is through data-driven personalization, which she calls "Show Me You Know Me." Heidi is of the view that young fans will reward brands with attention when the content is personal and relevant. Mickey Lawler is the president of the Women's Tennis Association, where fans define everything they do. The WTA fans make up the foundation of the game and are the core of what drives every single stakeholder. Fans always come first. Sharon Otterman is the CMO of the Madison Square Garden Company. The Madison Square Garden Company, MSG, is in the memories business with the belief that the best way to engage fans is using data and digital storytelling to give consumers access and insight they never had before. So, great round of applause for these women. Thank you. And let's get started. How is technology changing the fan experience now?
It's transformed the fan experience. Well, it's transformed the world, really. But you know how you have these pivotal moments in life. And last year at the US Open, I had a sleepless night, and I watched a classic match between Connors and McEnroe on ESPN Classics. And the commentary was, "Hey, Clive, I think that ball was in." You know, I don't think so. I don't think... Oh my God, it was in. You're right. Wow. Next point. Today, it is completely a different ball game. And since the WTA is partnered with SAP, we've been pushing the envelope to the spaces that make our traditional stakeholders very uncomfortable. But, you know, they're no-brainer decisions. For example, in the changeover, in tennis, you have a totally dead moment. So with SAP, we introduced on-court coaching, and that brings a moment of reality TV to, you know, the ultimate reality show in the world, which is sports. So it's been incredibly valuable and transformational. Such a little thing, so.
That's great. So I would say there's really three ways in which technology has really transformed sports. The first is through the coaching experience, and Mickey talked a bit about that already. Technology and data enables coaches to operate with more intelligence and more speed. And that's a beautiful value proposition that technology can enable with coaches, but also with players. So if you think about how data, how insights in particular have been received in the past from a coaching and an individual athlete perspective, oftentimes it takes time. And there are several different, a variety of data sources that also exist. So if you think about the transaction and the transition of the speed in which data is received and how quickly now technology has an ability to compute that data, it's allowed for both a better coaching as well as a athlete performance and insight standpoint. And then the third is really the fan experience itself. Every day, you know, we need to compete with in-home experiences and also the variety of sports that exist, the variety of choices we have today. So where we can enhance and improve the fan experience itself through the ease of technology as well as the ease of the intelligence of the data we have, that's a big aspect of how we're seeing technology improve the fan experience as well.
And to build on what you're saying, I mean, it's true. Every aspect of the fan experience is changing, whether it's ticketing or how you view your sports, to every aspect of personalization that's happening out there. And for us, what I think is really interesting is that it is creating a whole new type of fan that we haven't acknowledged as an industry before. Technology is creating people who want to enjoy sports, viewing it only in social media and or only through esports. And you ask yourself, well, are these avid fans? Well, they talk about it through social media. They engage with messengers and connecting with their friends in real world to talk about the games afterwards, even though they might never buy a ticket or they might never tune in on regular television. But these are important fan bases that they still buy merchandise. They still consider themselves and identify with teams. They follow athletes and players. They follow teams and clubs through social media. And this is a huge opportunity for us to think about how do we sort of harness this next generation of fan while we're at the same time really focusing on our avid fan and loyal fan base that's tuning in and buying tickets.
I think one of the best things that technology has done along the same lines on the fan continuum is making that consumer journey much more transparent of where consumers are. So consumers get inspired. I want to buy a ticket to go to the event, and you actually know when they're at the moment that they're inspired or trying to validate making their decision. Or we know when they're ready to make a purchase, so we can help enable that and help them make the best choice of where they want to go. Or when they get right up to the event, of helping with that whole anticipate. I'm so excited about going. How do I prepare and make this experience the best one possible? And then, of course, we talked about during the experience, technology helps enable a more immersive one. And then after, I get to relive it now. I was there when this moment happened, and technology can enable that whole journey now and make it very transparent so we could offer value at each stage along the way.
You guys all come from different areas of expertise. What for you is the most exciting innovation that either your company has rolled out or that you are just excited for fans to have at their disposal?
Well, I'm very, very excited about something that Sharon just told me about. They're going to have immersive entertainment. And when she explains this to you, you're going to be blown away because it is really something that you can only imagine in your dreams. So this dynamic dialogue that goes on between league, team, fan, it's, you create, the fan consumes, the fan demands more, you improve. It's this constant innovation, re-innovation, and that leads to Sharon.
Wow. We were talking about some of the new buildings that Madison Square Garden is opening, but I'm really excited about the immersiveness of how it leads to storytelling and being in that 90 minutes of escapism that you get to have interact, get a lot of data about the players and the game that you want. You get to really have a rooting interest in understanding everything that's going on. There's going to be gaming of interacting within the game itself and making it more interactive. So all those storylines and the immersive nature of it, to me, is really exciting.
And for us, player puck tracking is what we're really excited about as part of our future. And what we're doing is working with technology partners to be able to embed technology in the cups, into the pucks. So it'll track the puck at 200 times per second. So you can actually get a huge amount of data from the in-game performance. And we envision a future in which, with our partner SAP, we can bring this real-time data and seamlessly integrate it into the broadcast experience to enhance the fan knowledge and understanding of the game, but also send it through to our iPad experience for coaches so that while they're in the game, they can really start to make decisions and make changes on the fly. And when you think about it, this is an incredibly hard thing to do. The game of hockey is so fast, and the ice sheet is not that big, so it requires an incredible amount of accuracy to be able to actually do this. And then when you think about there are 60 minutes of live game action per game with very little stoppage, this is a big business problem, a big innovation problem that we're trying to solve, and really excited to roll that out soon.
So the other thing that I would add is SAP, and if I may for just a moment, I'm recognizing all the wonderful acronyms of the companies that we represent here on the screen, and SAP being one of them. And for those of you who may not know what SAP is, obviously we've talked a bit up here about use of our technology, but SAP is a global technology company. We service corporate enterprises. We have 390,000 customers around the world, operate in 180 countries. And one of the biggest parts of usage of our technology are our sports leagues, our global sports leagues. And it's both using technology to enhance the fan, the player, as well as the coach's overall experiences. So I did want to start with that. The other thing that I would pile on is we have a fantastic partnership with CHI Ocean, which is part of technology that we're creating with the International Equestrian Tournament. So also, if we think about equestrians as a sporting event as well, where we've actually designed an application that allows the fan to also become part of the judging experience, where as you're part of the tournament, the fan is now enabled through their smart device to also score and rate and give their opinion relative to what they're seeing there on the field. And so that's an incredible thing, too, if we think about this notion of fan voting and fan insights, where we can start to incorporate that, because we incorporate it today through many industries. Fashion was one that we did just a couple of months ago here at New York Fashion Week. But to be able to bring that into the sports leagues as well, to make sure fans are getting as much out of that experience as they possibly can. And that's just another example that I wanted to share.
The equestrian stuff was fascinating.
Yeah.
There's so many more ways now for fans to engage with players, to see where the ball or the puck is landing. What have you, on the flip side of that, there's so much more information that you guys are getting about fans. Is there anything that has been really surprising about your fan bases?
What I've loved is that in the past we used to segment based on how many times you would come to a game or how much TV you would watch in sports. And now with all this data, the segments are so much more rich. It's that I may come to the game because I care about the community sitting in my section, and that's just as important as what's going on the ice. Or I come because I want to tell people the next day that I was there, and it's more for social status. Or I come because I do really love this particular team and then the sports skills of it and the stats. But now it's about motivations and needs. It's not just about usage, and that we can serve fans better when we know why they're coming.
Well, what we really instinctively knew about the fan, technology has helped us verify, and that's a lot of what technology is about. So, very simply stated, the older fan still views and consumes on a television set, and the younger fan, the more mobile, and what that teaches you is that you have to inhabit the space of every fan across all generations. And that's from the broadcasting perspective. The big change that happened over the last couple of years is that television bundling packages were hanging on really because of live sports, and you couldn't consume the broadcast product in any other way as well as you could on a television set. But that's changed because streaming is now as good, and streaming is possible to be consumed on every platform. So to me, again, a pivotal moment was a few years ago, my son, and I think, by the way, it's absolutely key to involve your kids and the younger generations in designing your vision towards the horizon and beyond. I don't want to look too far beyond as a 57-year-old because then, I get to places I don't want to see yet. But I watched my son watch Jordan Spieth win the Masters in golf, and he was watching on a 4K television. He had an Excel spreadsheet on his laptop with his bets that he placed. Then he had an iPad and an iPhone. So the iPad, I don't remember. The iPhone was for social media. And I thought to myself, as a leader in this space, I need to be everywhere and make sure that we respond to all of these different demands so that the sport can be consumed across generations, across genders, across countries. And so that's been a fascinating learning experience.
And I don't think we can underestimate the power of data and the importance of it in our marketing future here. And, you know, Mary Meeker does this internet report, and she reported that 79% of people are willing to share their personal information in exchange for something in return, something meaningful or valuable for your return. And in most worlds, that's attention, human attention right now, which is at a scarcity. And I think the data that we're fortunate in sports because we have people who want to share their data with us, right? And there are all these touch points, real world and digital touch points that feed us an incredible amount of data. What the challenge is what do you do with that data, and how do you create stories out of it, and how do you find insights in it that'll drive your business results, drive ROI, drive more revenue, drive increased fandom. And so that's where, you know, the challenge with all of these data sets, especially some of these older data sets, is how do you get them cleaned up and ready to go so that you can operationalize as a business. And we're investing a lot of time and resources in really making the investments you need in the MarTech Foundation so that we can then take it to that next level of personalizing our communications. It can even get to personalizing the in-arena fan experience. And we're working with our friends at SAP to help us do this through our HANA and our SAP Hybris, which will enable us to use all these data insights to market and personalize across different marketing channels. And again, this is so key as we start to think about how do we capture that attention, how do we drive engagement, and it's through those personal and relevant communications.
You know, the other thing that I would add is if we think about the evolution of technology, we've moved from this era of PCs and mainframes to this era of big data, which is how do we harness all of the different sources of data that exist now into this era of intelligence. So if you really have the capabilities today to harness the data, it's about how do you turn that into intelligence to help you create either a better fan, a better coach, or a better athlete experience. And one of the things that we have found in particular, and you know, just by way of example, the NBA is also a very technology-forward league. And we have been partnering with the NBA for several years to create deeper analysis on the stats that exist today. So if you go to nba.com/stats, this is an opportunity for the fan to gain deeper intelligence around the players in the league to help them understand the game a bit better, follow the game a bit better. And if we think about the viewership that we've had just last season alone, we had over 35 million views to the website. And what it shows to us is that fans today crave a deeper amount of intelligence to connect to the players out on the court or out on the field, whatever sport it may be. And this notion of access, have it enabled for me on my mobile device 24/7, and give me the greatest levels of analysis and commentary that I've never had before is something that we're seeing fans craving more than ever. They want to be part of the action. They want to truly study sports and understand and know what to anticipate. And I think the overall fan experience is really beginning to kind of move to different heights. And technology from a platform capability as well as data in terms of the intelligence that it enables at a fan level is something that is happening at unprecedented levels that I think is only going to continue to enhance the fan experience.
That's great. The second all-female panel of the day. Let's talk about female fans. Is there anything different about how they consume or how you guys get them to become engaged? What have you guys seen there with female fans?
I love the best way of not thinking about them as female fans. Is that if you go back to the motivations and the needs of what a sports fan, that they want to get closer to the players, that they want to come there for a social experience. And we really look at fans from segments and take gender out of the equation. I think it's going to be best for sports overall.
Exactly. It's been so fun. I usually have some form of NHL swag on wherever I go. And women stop me everywhere. Little girls, women, to tell me their hockey stories. And you realize how passionate women are as sports fans. And I agree with you. We don't subscribe to the shrink it and pink it methodology of marketing to women. We treat them as sports fans, as hockey fans. Now, that being said, we absolutely look at segmentation of who's interacting with our marketing and our socials, and understand what kind of content is resonating. But it's really more about, how are we segmenting based on engagement and avidity than it is about gender.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. With nothing to add. I agree with all of the comments are being made.
Well, I do have something to add. As the one from the Female League, I read in the Harvard Business Review recently that women as consumers and as fans represent a bigger opportunity than India and China combined. They are highly underserved, and yet they make 90% of all purchasing decisions. So very interesting from a sports perspective. To Heidi's point of pink it and shrink it, and the people who know me here, they know I tell this story ad nauseum, but it's mind-blowing. So we've got incredible female athletes on the WTA, and do you know that we see a lot of thoracic injuries? And so we started looking into this, and by doing some simple research, when a woman goes to work, like the three of us, or four of us, five of us, we math was not my strength. We have 156 bra sizes to choose from. Yet, when we put our bodies to the test, we have 6 bra sizes to choose from. So I spoke to several sports manufacturers about this, and one in particular said, well, the problem is that our design team, what we typically do is we pink it and shrink it. So, no, but you can't do that. If we have 156 bra sizes when we go to work and we sit in a chair, how can you possibly think this way? So, moving forward, agreed, we want to, hopefully we've grown beyond the female-male conversation, and we're so tired about that as females, so tired of that we need to get beyond that. But what's exciting with SAP, besides the ball tracking and giving real-time insights to athletes, their coaches, the media, broadcasters, etc., what's coming next is biometric stuff that is going to have applications to the general public, and hopefully we can use these incredible athletes that are pushing themselves to gain intelligence that is very useful and healthy for your everyday athletes and everyday people. So that's female fans. They walk the talk.
That's great, and I totally agree. If I'm a Raiders fan, I don't want the pink jersey. I want not that there's anything wrong with that, but I want the black and the silver. Has there been any opposition to your efforts to kind of, as you said, look to the horizon and really push forward and embrace technology?
Yes, lots. There's always, you're pushing people to a very uncomfortable space. Human beings like predictability. They like the comfort zone. They say they don't, but that's BS. They really, you in tennis, when we did the no-brainer on-court coaching, the ATP said, well, that's cheating. No, it's not cheating. The NFL uses coaches, the NBA, every sport in the world uses coaches. And so, you work with a coach on court. Yeah, but once you're on court, you need to be on your own. But what about the fan? The fan is looking at a changeover. They're sitting there drinking water. We have to do this. We have to change, and we have to understand that today's teenager has the attention span of a goldfish. This has been scientifically proven, a goldfish. So, we need to move beyond and really look at this from a futuristic perspective and go in a future-proof direction.
And I haven't seen opposition per se. It's just a challenge to take in all these new technologies that are out there. There's so many companies inventing around AR, VR, AI, every aspect of data and social media around the fan experience, and they all are good ideas, but how do you sort through it all and prioritize? And how do you test and then scale? These are the big challenges that you face. And you know, internally at the league, we see everything, every new technology presents itself to us, and we have to make hard decisions and ask hard questions about how do you prioritize. And I'd say that, you know, starting with the foundation is where we're, you know, is where you begin, starting with that foundation of building your technology infrastructure so you can take in all of this data. But that's a trick as well, because you have to teach an organization to have patience while you build. These things are long, multi-year projects, and, you know, you've got, you know, investments that you've made that may not have payout for a year or two in terms of return on investment, and you have to keep finding those little wins to keep the whole organization moving along with you and is excited about these small innovations before they turn into a bigger part of your company.
So, I mean, technology it's a differentiator. Am I still on? Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. And, you know, like anything, technology can create a certain fear. You know, we've had many leagues that have been around for a long time and have evolved with each decade. And technology, it helps to support the overall effectiveness and the efficiencies, and in a lot of ways the performance as well. And that can be very scary. You know, if you have been in your leagues and have been participating or watching the game of sport for quite some time. But the reality is technology is, and in some cases, in some of the areas in which Heidi had mentioned, some of our more modern technologies, it is part of our DNA. And it will become a continued part of the fabric that shapes the overall fan experience as well as the performance and how the game is coached. If you think about a decade from now, what life will be like with technology, it is a critical and a core part of any aspect of life, and sport is a big part of that. And my belief is that, you know, leagues and teams that embrace it and are out on the forefront will absolutely be the leaders. They will have the greatest athletes, they will have the best coaches, and they will have the most engaged fans. And that is the ultimate of success when it comes to any league or any sport that we are part of, whether it be from a fan experience or a coach or from an athlete standpoint. So it will absolutely shape, as it is already today, the way the sport is viewed, and certainly the way it is coached and the way athletes perform from their standpoint as well.
I think it's the idea of opposition versus internally, it's more change management. It's changing the language a little bit. And one of the things that we did internally early on was talk more about, we're building capabilities. It's not necessarily the technology. The technology is the enabler and the tool, but what are we trying to build from a capability standpoint that's going to help us engage fans better, grow our business, and really help ease the organization into it?
Mm-hmm. There's so much now that makes it enjoyable to watch from home. How are you guys using technology to get fans into stadiums?
Well, to me, it's all about the community experience. And as much as I love on a cold Sunday to watch on my couch, there's nothing like to go into a building and to watch your favorite team with your section. And when we talk to fans, it's about, I'm in section 125. In addition to being that Rangers fan. And so there's nothing that technology or anything, it's from the beginning of time that people like to come together for these kind of emotional experiences. And I don't think that's ever going to change. I think that technology is just going to make it better in the arena, and it's going to make it better on TV.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think the broadcast can actually be a great incentive to get people to experience the live setting of an arena. And if you take what the Caps did in DC, for example, having spent 24 years in DC, I can tell you that it transformed the city. And there's a very prominent Russian man that we work with, and I said to him, hey, here's a video of what a Russian did under the nose of President Trump. So congratulations. It was just a sea of red. You've never seen anything like that, and you experienced that in the World Cup, and you can't compare anything to the actual coming together of people and being passionately, emotionally connected to what's happening on a court, in a field, or on a stage.
I think they even closed the government down for the parade
Yes.
that day. It was really crazy.
Yeah.
It was really exciting about that. Yeah, for sure. What's our question again? I'm so fascinated.
How do you get from
TV
into the stadium?
And our role really is to enhance broadcast viewing, and certainly our game is very special. It's well known to be the most popular sport to see live, but sometimes loses it in translation when it's on TV. And HD made a huge difference for us, and 4K we're very excited to see how that will, as it scales, transform the experience. But we do a lot to really focus on how do we create awareness around tune-in. So we go live through social media. We do this with our broadcast partners. We go live shortly before a game to drive awareness and conversation to drive that tune-in. In addition, this last season for our playoffs, we realized that one of the important aspects to driving your rating points is retaining viewership throughout the course of the game. So we worked with our partners at NBC who created these double boxes. So you could get a live look in of another game when we're on intermission. So we could help engage and retain our viewers so they didn't go do something else. And that made a huge impact on the success of our ratings. In fact, we had the best ratings that we've had since 1997. So this was a really, really exciting, but simple development that happened in the broadcast space. And I'd say the last thing that we have to do to encourage more viewing, whether it's getting people to in-game or on TV, is just be everywhere. Making sure that we have our game available in in Roku and in Apple, and we've been doing some experiments on Twitter in Canada and with Hulu, just making sure that we're where you want, when you want, and how you want to experience your hockey game.
So one of the things Sharon said before really resonated with me, and it's about how do you show up across every stage of the customer lifecycle journey? And it's everything from how are we building technology to drive awareness? How are we driving that sort of in-stadium experience once they're there? And then how do we keep the conversation going to drive towards true fan loyalty even post that time that they've spent with us in the stadium? And everything from how you're communicating on social and what those platforms are and how do they connect overall to the stadium experience, to ticketing, to concessions, to participating in the live action by voting and casting your votes, as I was sharing earlier by a couple of examples, to e-commerce. So how are we enabling purchases to be made? I mentioned concessions, but also fan merchandise as well. To then, how do you keep that commentary going? Things like going deeper into the data and understanding the analytics and how the game was played and how it was performed, to your ability to still continue that conversation on social. So our ability to build technology platforms that connect across every stage of that fan journey is something that is both alive and well today and is going to continue to be a big source of innovation because it's necessary if you want to get people out and experiencing sports in the same manner in which we drive experience across so many other aspects of our life. The fan experience, the in-stadium experience needs to model the same, and in a lot of ways it already is there and is going to continue to innovate as well.
Yeah, I know the Garden had that VR simulation where you could shoot hoops, and that's something you're only getting if you're there at the game.
That's right.
We do want to open it up to questions, but maybe we can just really quickly, so kind of cueing the like mic runners, but maybe we can quickly say what's still lacking.
I'd love to know every fan who's in every seat. They're still anonymous to us, and that's not true in a plane or anywhere else, but in the arena, they're still anonymous.
I'd say really good virtual reality is still lacking. If we really want to immerse people in the experience, it's expensive to shoot really good virtual reality and then to make it available to everyone to enjoy. That's the thing that we need to do to get people to get into a game, right? If they experience it live through virtual, then the assumption is they'll buy tickets. So I just think we need more of that.
I think it's more less of what's lacking and more about what the opportunities are still to come. Heidi had mentioned artificial intelligence and machine learning. What is that role and how is it going to continue to enhance the experience? That is a lot more of what's to come. We're already seeing tremendous impacts around how machine learning is beginning to help support the fan experience overall and how the athlete and the coaches interact with each other. That is only going to continue to grow. I think it's going to continue to impact the speed in which the fan experiences the game. And it's going to continue to impact the efficiencies that we have between our coaches and athletes. And so I think it's more of more enhancements that you're going to continue to see, and less of what's lacking, because I do think sports is an incredible demonstration of technology. And everyone here today, has shown how it's impacting their particular sports. It's just a matter of more to come, which I think is really exciting.
Can we open it up to questions? In the back there, I think there's one. If you want to raise your hand again, or you can shout it.
Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so it's Eric Cutoff with Grace Blue. How are you guys doing? I have a question maybe for Lisa. With technology, thanks. A little bit better. With technology advancing so quickly, how can the NHL, WTA, and MSG and other sports organizations, in addition to partnering with you, prepare themselves internally from a talent perspective to leverage this technology and where it's going, besides partnering with you?
Well, of course. Is there anything else? No, it's a fabulous question. The change management that exists, I think, is one thing every organization has to contend with. But it's one thing to deploy technology, but it's another to actually have the skills to activate it in ways that matter. And one of the things that I've recognized pretty quickly is that companies have an obligation to upskill and to reskill for the opportunities that technology brings to all of our organizations. A lot of the skills that are needed today, I don't personally find exist at mass, especially when you start to think about machine learning and artificial intelligence. There is a tremendous fear in the workplace today on whether or not that is going to replace a lot of human capital that we have in our organizations. And if you think about the benefits of what those technologies bring, it's actually quite motivating and should be to any employee of any organization, but it does require a fair bit of education and reskilling. Automation is really going to help support a lot of the mundane tasks that none of us like to do in our jobs, otherwise known as busy work. So the more that we can automate the busy work that exists in any league, any sport, any company, the more we're able to exercise truly what gets us out of bed in the morning is how do I bring forward-thinking ideas? How do I enhance the effectiveness of my organization? How do I take it to a whole new level? And that's part of the whole change management process. And so I think the newer generations that are coming into the workforce bring a lot of these qualities in to companies that we need. They understand technology, they understand how it improves the overall experience. But a lot of these skills at the same time don't exist. And so I personally would call on any organization to take a hard look at how is the technology going to improve the overall experience, and what does that mean for the human capital management that you have within your organizations in terms of what they need to do differently to be able to embrace the technology to support that success the technology aims to create.
Great, thank you. And I think you perfectly got us to time, so I think that's it. Great round of applause for you guys.